Hi, my name is Laura Drogi, and I am a student in the Masters of Teaching program with a focus on English as a second language. I read the book Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess, and so I'm going to be presenting today his main points from this book. So to start off, why a pirate? So Burgess chooses this acronym of pirate to focus his ideas about teaching on. And the reason why is that he says that teachers should be like pirates, in that pirates are daring, adventurous, and willing to set forth into uncharted territories with no guarantee of success. And so the way he suggests teachers to do this is to be like a pirate. So the acronym PIRATE stands for passion, immersion, rapport, ask and analyze, transformation, and enthusiasm. So these are the core pieces of how Burgess presents his idea of how teachers should be in the classroom. So we're going to go through what each of these kind of look like according to his book. So he starts with passion, and he says that passion is the most important thing for teachers to have, and that the thing about passion is that you cannot fake being passionate. And so when you start to feel your passion waning, he gives three suggestions, three questions to kind of reflect on. And I would suggest you take some time and reflect on these questions yourself as you're going into the school year. So within your subject matter, what are you passionate about teaching? So what in your grade, in your subject, gets you excited about teaching? Because that excitement is going to feed off on your kids. They're going to pick up on that and become excited for that topic themselves. So for me, the things I'm most excited about are things having to do with the environment, things having to do with social justice, anything global. Those are the things I really enjoy teaching the most, and those are the things that my kids come away at the end of the year with most excited about themselves. So then his second question, within your profession, so as a teacher, but not specific to your subject matter, what are you passionate about? So again, for myself, those passions are, equity in the classroom, building a strong collaborative community with different teachers outside of just my professional learning community on my grade level. So I want to look at and think about how can I incorporate those passions into the classroom. So we talk about equity in my classroom. We talk about equal rights. We talk about the civil rights movement and equal rights around the world, things like that, because that's something that I'm passionate about making better in the school, in the teaching profession. And then looking lastly, completely outside of your profession, what are you passionate about? So for me, silly things. I'm passionate about Star Wars. I'm passionate about UNC basketball. I'm passionate about yoga. And so how can I bring those things into the classroom to show students and to teach students how to have excitement about something? Next, immersion and rapport. So he points out that divided attention is not attention at all, and that teachers need to be engaged and active with their students during the lessons. He makes a comparison between a lifeguard sitting and watching the people in a pool and then a swim instructor actually in the pool teaching children how to swim. And he says, a lot of teachers are like lifeguards. They're focused, they're watching, but they're not immersed in the work that's being done in the classroom. And so he suggests, really being active in the learning, getting engaged in what the kids are doing with them, being an active learner in the classroom as well. And then rapport. So having rapport with students creates engagement and creates buy-in from those students. And so we want to create an environment where students feel safe to try new things and make mistakes. He talks about how, his one big rule for his classroom is that this will be a no meanness zone. And you really want to enforce that so that kids know that they are safe there, that they're not going to be teased, they're not going to be bullied, they're safe to make a mistake, they're safe to try something new. For myself, this looks like really teaching and using a growth mindset. So really creating an environment where I'm making mistakes in front of them, where I'm showing them that I'm constantly learning, constantly trying new things, and that I want them to be doing the same. The next is to ask and analyze. So constantly be asking yourself how you can improve your lessons. If a lesson tanks, That's great. Ask yourself why that happened and how can you make it better next time. And then he talks about how a lot of people come up to him and tell him that it's easy for him because he's really creative. And he says creativity is not a special gift that only some teachers have. Everyone can be creative. And so you should constantly be analyzing how can you add creative aspects to your lessons to make them more engaging for your students. And then next, the transformation. So he says you have to have a vision of what your ideal classroom experience looks like if you want to have any hope of creating it. So how can you make your class stand out to your students? What do you want them to remember about you when they're looking back years later? And then lastly, enthusiasm. So he starts with passion and he ends with enthusiasm, and these are the two bookends that really hold his idea of teaching together. So your students, remember, your students will mirror your enthusiasm for a topic, subject, and school in general. And so if you come into teaching long division, oh, this is so hard, we just have to learn how to do it, we just have to push through because it's going to be on the test, that's the attitude that your kids are going to have about it. And so you have to have an enthusiastic attitude about everything. And the great thing about enthusiasm is that you can fake it till you make it. If you act enthusiastic about something, then eventually it will actually change your attitude about it. So just the act of standing up tall and speaking loudly and pretending to be excited will actually change your body to make you excited about that. And then just to have a change of focus. So remember what it is. Remember, go back to those passion questions. What is it about teaching that makes you come to school every day? And remember that sometimes, as we get to the end of the year, the EOG can start to bog down and make it hard to be enthusiastic about school. And if that's making it difficult for you, then just remember what your purpose is. Is your purpose to go there and give your kids a 3-hour test? I don't think that's why most of us became teachers. So what is it that brought us into this profession, and what can give us our enthusiasm back? Then he goes into several chapters with ideas of hooks. So how can you start or hold a class in a way that will grab and keep students' attention? So he lists out literally 100 of these different ideas. And so I chose just 3 that I really liked. I teach elementary school. A lot of his hooks were geared kind of more towards high school. And so these were 3 that I thought that I could try to use in my classroom. So can we get up and act something out? Can I get every student up and out of their desk at least once during the lesson? And can I use art during the lesson? And I would include in that one also music. So with a focus moving away from arts and music, how can I bring those into the lesson? And so how can we really keep our students actively engaged with the entire lesson and not be boring? So for my personal takeaway, he gave a lot of very specific examples of what he does in his classroom. His teaching style is pretty different than mine, so I'm not sure how many of his practical suggestions I will be trying, but several of his questions gave me some good reflection that I want to do and think about before the start of the school year. So that's kind of more of my personal takeaway, is just reflecting and preparing for this coming up school year. So the first one is just to remember why you're here in the first place. So going back to the questions about passion, why are you choosing to become a teacher? And getting that attitude in the right place before the school year starts. And then to find what works for you to connect with your students and connect your students to each other. So with his ideas of building rapport with students. So what is a way that you can connect with every single one of your students? It can be as simple as saying their names in the morning. And greeting them, making sure to greet every student every day. In the end, he talks about building your community of professionals. He calls it your crew, going with the pirate theme. And so I chose a quote regarding that. So it says, "One of the most rewarding parts of teaching is the personal and professional relationships we develop on our voyage. I am the teacher I am today because of the relationships I've developed. Look for opportunities to hone your craft and find educators willing and open to engage in meaningful conversations about the work." So we can't do this by ourselves. So look for people who have the similar passions that you do. Look for people who can help you with your hook. So if you're trying to incorporate art in your classroom, bring in the art teacher or go ask the music teacher for suggestions, and really build that professional community, even outside of school. Look into the community, look at your children's parents, to build your personal and professional community to really help you be the best teacher that you can be. So thank you for your time. I hope that there was something that you can find useful for your own teaching in this presentation. Thank you.